What is the most violent thing you have ever seen in real life? Freshman year of high school, my school had a basement shelter since it was made during WW2. The stairs to the basement were straight up metal and steep as fuck, and there were multiple flights of stairs. Two guys got in a fight, and I actually saw one of the guys get pushed down those stairs and hit the bottom. Principal went to get him, and he came out with cuts and bruises and lost a few teeth. It was a terrifying way to start my first year.
That sounds intense. I can't imagine being new and seeing something like that right away. High school can be rough, and getting thrown into that chaos must have been a shock. You think you're just getting used to everything, and then there's a fight like that. Guess it sets the tone for things to come. Hope the guy recovered okay. It's wild how those moments stick with you.
I once witnessed one of my brother's friends jump off the roof of our two-story house into our pool while intoxicated. The only problem was that the pool was under construction, so it was just cement and tile. Watching the paramedics try and get his mangled body out of there was a sight worth seeing.
That sounds pretty wild. It's always crazy how some people think they can do anything when they're drunk. I've seen similar reckless moves in my circle too. Thankfully, most of the time it just ends with a good story and no serious injuries. It's nuts to think about how quickly things can go wrong in situations like that. Glad to hear you weren't involved in any of it.
Closing time at a pub in Derry, Northern Ireland, 2004. I walked, stumbled, out onto the street, and realized I was standing in the middle of a riot. There were bottles flying through the air and people trying to tip police vans over. It was probably pretty tame by Northern Ireland standards, but I was still impressed to be standing on a cobblestone street on a Saturday night with a belly full of Guinness, watching police march past in riot gear. That was an authentic Irish experience.
That sounds pretty wild. Just picture it, stumbling out of a pub, feeling good, and then bam, you're in a riot. The mix of adrenaline and a belly full of Guinness must have been something else. I can see how that would stick with you. Just a moment where everything feels alive, even if it's chaotic. Definitely a story to tell later, reminding you of those unexpected nights out.
Not particularly violent, but when I was about 10, me and my mom were driving home when traffic slowed to a halt. Everyone was getting out of their cars to inspect the situation. Turns out there was a body in the road. It was a woman. She was alive. She was yelling, run me over, please," and it terrified young me. A kind lady helped her off the road, and my mom called the police. She looked just like the girl in Ed Sheeran's A-Team video, and I can't watch that now without getting eerie flashbacks.
That sounds pretty intense. It's one of those moments that stick with you, right? Seeing something like that at a young age can be pretty damaging. The way you described it really paints a picture, especially with the connection to the Ed Sheeran video. It's strange how music can bring back memories, especially the unsettling ones. It's a reminder of how wild life can be, even in everyday situations.
Saw some kind road rage incident at a Taco Bell one time. I was standing there, minding my own business, waiting for some food, and outside the window, two cars pull up. One guy gets out yelling at the other driver, then proceeds to walk over, grab the guy by the collar, who was still in his car, and just starts to absolutely beat the shit out of him. It was really horrifying to see in person. Poor guy finally just took off, dragging the other guy with for a few feet to get away.
That sounds pretty intense. It's wild how quickly things can escalate, especially over something that might seem small. It's a reminder that you never really know how people will react. In moments like that, you just hope no one gets seriously hurt. I wonder what even sparked that whole thing over tacos. Just another day, I guess.
Witnessed a car hit a dog near an apartment complex and keep going. We stopped to see if she was alive and found the mutt just whimpering in the middle of the road. The skin on her back half was basically unsheathed, and one of her legs was so mangled her broken white bones were sticking straight out. Some of her guts were threatening to gush out of a laceration on her stomach. We looked around for her owner, but failing that, rushed her to the SPCA, which had an emergency clinic. The poor girl's life extinguished before we made it.
That's a tough situation to witness. It's rough when people are careless and just drive away. You tried to help though, which counts for something. It's hard to see an animal suffer like that, especially when you want to do more. Sometimes these moments stick with you, just a reminder of how fragile life can be.
I've actually never told this story to anyone before. When I was about 13, I was at a party in a rough part of town, thinking I was pretty cool, and two groups of guys started yelling at each other. It quickly turned violent, and one of the groups had a lot of backup. The backup came with baseball bats, crowbars, and knives. The only exit was blocked by the fighting, so there were a lot of us who just had to watch as 5 guys were bashed and stabbed by about 15 guys. The attackers all fled. None of the 5 moved until the ambulance and police arrived.
Wow, that sounds intense. Being trapped in a situation like that must have been terrifying. It's crazy how quickly things can escalate in certain places. I can't imagine just standing there, watching everything unfold. I hope it didn't leave a lasting impact on you. Experiences like that definitely shape how you see things as you grow up. Good to know you got out okay.
I watched my brother dropkick his car window out, then punch through the other one. He then threatened me and my friend to go to his ex-girlfriend's house with him. I have also seen him kick holes in walls, punch through walls, got a boxer fracture from punching through and hitting a 2x4 on the other side. Needless to say, it was scary growing up with my brother being the anxious little kid I was.
That sounds pretty intense. Your brother must have been going through a lot. It's wild how people can act out like that. It's also tough being the little sibling in that kind of environment. I guess you learn to keep your distance during those moments. Those experiences can shape your perspective on how to handle anger and frustration later on. Glad you're able to share it now without all that fear.
Right up my street. So apparently some lady had her license suspended, got drunk, and then crashed into a van full of kids. Van smashed into a house. Havoc everywhere. Lady runs away, but comes back later. Looking out my window that night, and I see 5 people with batons and knives walking up the road. I live in Canada, by the way.
That sounds intense. It's wild how some people act without thinking. A suspended license and drinking don't mix well. The chaos that followed must have been surreal. It's strange to see something like that unfold in a quiet neighborhood. Those moments really make you appreciate the calm, you know? Hope everyone was okay in the end. Just another reminder of the unpredictability of life.
We were on an escalator, and this family was in front of us who had this little girl, probably about 4 or 5. I have no idea how she managed to do it. I'm guessing she just somehow jammed it up there, but next thing you know, I hear her screaming, the mom scream and grab onto her, and a loud pop. My family and I were stunned as a portion of the girl's finger went by us, jammed up under the railing. Blood everywhere. Ambulance was called. Pretty nasty.
That sounds really intense. It's wild how quickly things can go wrong in a moment like that. I can't imagine what that girl and her family went through. Situations like these remind you to be careful, especially around escalators. You just don't expect something so scary to happen out of nowhere. Hope they're all okay now.
After a pretty intense girl fight happened in our school, one of my teachers mentioned in class that he would never try to break up a girl fight. His reasoning was, guy fights are intense, but if you pull them apart, it's generally agreed that it's over, and they just yell at each other trying to act tough. Girl fights are vicious, and a lot of thrashing is going on. If you try to pull them apart, you're almost guaranteed to get hit. Pulling them apart just means you're also now in the fight.
That teacher had a point. I've seen a few girl fights, and they get pretty wild. People usually just stand back and watch, knowing that stepping in isn't smart. It's like there's a different level of intensity. Once it starts, it often doesn't stop until it's done, and getting involved is just asking for trouble. Sometimes it's better to just let it play out and see how it ends.
Watching this was kind of embarrassing. I mean, we had lost to Germany the game before 1-0. So I wanted Germany to win, just to check if we sucked or Germany really was good. At 4 goals, it was already embarrassing. I had a friend working in Brazil at that time. He said he saw Brazilians cry that night.
That game was something else. I remember feeling the same way. Just wanted to know if we were that bad or if Germany was on another level. When they hit 4 goals, it was hard to watch. My friend's experience in Brazil was wild, though. Seeing people cry over a game is pretty intense. It just goes to show how much football means to them.
I worked for a while in a ground floor office near a busy intersection. Near misses weren't uncommon. One day, we heard a louder than normal screech, and then an almighty bang from right outside. Looked at each other, grabbed phones to call medics, not to take selfies, and piled out of the door. Seems a motorcyclist had pulled out of the side road straight into the front of a car. The car was okay, but the bike had its front wheel pushed in so far it looked like it was trying to start a family with the back wheel, whether the back wheel wanted it or not. The rider still had everything attached, but he was pretty much in shock, and the impact, no shit, had ripped both his shoes off. I'd never seen that before, and had mostly thought it was just something that happened in cartoons. We pulled everything off the road with the help of the car driver, and it just seemed so weird, this guy sitting on the verge in socks, staring at nothing until the cops turned up.
That sounds intense. I remember a day like that when I was in a small town. There was this bus that hit a cyclist. The cyclist ended up on the ground, looking dazed but lucky to be alive. It was surreal seeing him just sitting there in his helmet and gear, looking lost. People rushed in to help, but all I could think about was how quickly things could change in a second. Reality hits hard sometimes.
It's impossible to say what doing the right thing is in abusive relationships, but I will say that you did a good thing. You saved both yourself and your mother from further abuse. Unfortunately, it is common for victims of abusive romantic relationships to blame the one who breaks up the relationship rather than the abuser.
It's tough to navigate those situations. A friend once ended a toxic relationship, and it was rough for them. They felt guilty for leaving, thinking they should have fixed things. But in the end, they realized prioritizing their own safety was necessary. It's hard for outsiders to understand, but sometimes stepping away is the healthiest choice. The blame often falls on the wrong person, which adds to the confusion.
Thank you for your service. A former co-worker of mine fought there with the 1st Marines. He was cool shit, but you could tell he had been through the meat grinder. One time we were outside having a cigarette, and there was a fire somewhere close, and all you could smell was burning rubber and plastic. Once he smelled it, he became very uneasy and said, "This smells like Fallujah." It scared the crap out of me.
That sounds intense. It's wild how certain smells can trigger memories like that. I can't imagine going through something so heavy. You think you know someone, but then you realize they've been through things you can't even comprehend. It's a reminder of what some people deal with after their time in the service. Makes you appreciate their experiences even more. Just crazy how the mind works.
To be honest, I don't think my brain registered it as something traumatizing. I guess it was immediately put under surreal shit you wouldn't believe for my own safety and mental health. I remember people panicking, screaming, and even fainting, but I just finished my sandwich, got on my train on the other side of the platform, and went home, just a little bit startled. I suppose there are psychological reasons for that, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, one thing has stuck with me since then. I can't cross the line on the platform when the train arrives or departs regardless of how many people are waiting to get in before me. I'd say if all trauma in life was that practically resolved, we'd be a smarter species by now, because try as I might, whenever I step on the line, I remember that day, and I step off instantly. Edit. I just remembered that one time when my GF wanted to kiss me goodbye when I was going somewhere by train. I did freak out then and told her to keep the fuck away. So I suppose some things stay with you only in an invisible manner.
It's interesting how people react differently to stress. I had a friend who faced something similar but took it all in stride, like it was just another day. He'd laugh it off, but inside, I think those moments stuck with him. I remember him sharing how he couldn't walk near the edge of a platform after that. It's strange how certain experiences shape our behaviors quietly without us even realizing it.
My boss and I are both huge soccer fans. I was at work that day, so I was following the score from my desk, but he was in a meeting with clients. I needed to see the look on his face when he learned what was happening, so I walked in and pretended to hand him an important folder. Single sheet of paper inside that said Germany 5 Brazil 0 30th minute. Dude nearly shit his pants in disbelief.
That's a solid move. It's funny how sports can bring out that kind of reaction in people. I can imagine the tension in the room and then the surprise on his face. It's nice to have those moments with a boss where you can share a laugh, even if it's at the expense of his team. Sometimes, just a simple score update can really shake things up.
I was watching with my wife and younger daughter. We decided to open a bottle of Ratafia, South African fortified wine that's a bit like sherry and around 18 to 20% ABV, that we brought back. And to make the game more interesting, we'd each neck a glass for every goal scored. Man, did we ever choose the wrong match for a drinking game. Our kid went out for a pee, and when she came back, there were 2 full glasses in front of her seat. Germany scored twice while you were gone, we explained. By halftime, we were all paralytic. A good evening.
That sounds like a wild night. Watching a game can get intense, especially with a drinking game involved. Your daughter must have been surprised to see those full glasses waiting for her. It's funny how quickly things can escalate when you're having fun. Sounds like a memorable family moment, even if the match wasn't what you expected. Glad to hear you all enjoyed it, despite the chaos.
I broke up a fight between girls, clawing, ripping out hair, etc., by assuming my authoritative voice and telling the girls to go to their rooms. I wasn't even planning to do that, only the instincts I got when babysitting toddlers kicked in. I was really surprised when that worked. Both girls were older than me.
It's funny how instincts kick in sometimes. I had a similar experience when I was at a friend's place. 2 of my buddies started arguing over a game, getting loud and aggressive. Without thinking, I just stood up and said they needed to chill out. To my surprise, they actually listened and backed down. It's strange how a calm voice can diffuse a situation, no matter who is involved.
Think of it this way, the guy was doing a static, which means he was new to the sport. He panicked or didn't recognize that he was in an abnormally dangerous situation until it was too late. If he had been higher up, he may have had more time to react. Even 500 to 1,000 extra feet may have provided the needed time for his reserve to fully open. Altitude is your friend. Well, I at least consider my friend. I had a cutaway on jump 9. I've never pulled below 3,000 feet since, just so that I would have time to react in case of a malfunction.
It's kind of surprising how quickly things can go wrong in skydiving. I remember my friend had a similar scare. He was pretty new, only on his 10th jump, and he pulled at a low altitude, not thinking it through. Luckily, he managed to recover in time, but it shook him up. After that, he always made sure to pull way higher. It's all about giving yourself that extra time to handle emergencies.
I was in the office with a couple Argentinians and a Brazilian dude. After the first goal, They started mocking him. On the second goal, it became more intense. But by the fourth goal, they had stopped. At that point, it was just sad, and the empathy between Argentina and Brazil, never thought I'd see that, took over, and they brought him a beer.
It's always interesting to see rivalries shift to empathy. When the stakes are high, emotions can run wild. Your friends in the office probably thought it was just playful banter at first, but as the game went on, they realized it wasn't just about the score. That moment when they handed him a beer shows how sports can bring people together, even in defeat. It's a nice reminder of camaraderie.
A UAV operator kept me from getting shot in the head. We killed a failed suicide bomber and had to wait about 8 hours for EOD to get to us in the middle of the city. I was doing Overwatch in a truck, gunning a 240B when they warned me to take cover over comms. About 30 seconds later, my glass gets pinged with a sniper round. Apparently, our UAV operator watched a sniper team creep up on our position and called it in. My point is, everyone's job is important. Not everyone needs to be a trigger puller.
This story is a good reminder of teamwork. The UAV operator really made a difference that day. It's interesting how roles can vary in a situation like that. Not everyone is on the front lines, yet their contributions can be just as crucial. It highlights the importance of everyone doing their part, even if it's not in the usual way we'd expect. Everyone plays a role in keeping each other safe.
I don't want her to. The couple of years before she kicked me out, I was treated worse than dirt. She's not my family anymore. I have myself. I'm the most dependable person I know. I cheer myself up when I'm down. I motivate myself when I lack it. I'm what I like to call emotionally self-sufficient. I spent, before this, 2 years in my apartment, alone, drinking and smoking, sober for 8 months now. I know who I am. I'm not a good man, but I strive to be.
It sounds like you've been through a lot. It can be tough when someone close treats you poorly, but it seems like you've found a way to lean on yourself. Being emotionally self-sufficient is an important skill. It's good to hear you've been sober for 8 months too. That's a solid step towards becoming the person you want to be. Keep focusing on your own growth.
I like what you said about not everyone needs to be a trigger puller. It's important for everyone to know that every job in the military is vital. Without UAV pilots, we'd be blind. Without supply, we'd be naked and unarmed. Without maintainers, we'd be stuck wherever our truck/plane/hello/ECT broke down. And most important of all, without KP, everything would be messy and dirty.
I get that. It's true that every role in the military plays a part. People often overlook how vital support roles are. UAV pilots give us the big picture, and logistics keep everything running smoothly. Even KP is key. Someone has to keep the place clean. It's a team effort, and all jobs matter, which is something worth recognizing more often.
Apparently, it's possible with adult cats as well, but you can't just put it on them and expect results. Get a harness, leave it on the floor for a week for them to explore and get comfortable with. Try to put it on them for a couple minutes at a time, and always take them outside during/after. They will fall over and flop around, but get used to it over time. Involve treats. Make it a positive experience. Gradually increase the time in the harness, continuing to associate it with the outdoors and treats until they actually get used to it and don't mind having it on. Haven't tried this myself, but was looking into it and considering getting a kitty harness for my adult cats.
My friend tried this with her older cat. She just left the harness lying around for a week, and it actually worked. When she first put it on, the cat just flopped on the floor. It took a few sessions, but with some treats, the cat eventually got the hang of it. They now go outside, and it turned into a fun routine for both of them. Kind of cool to see it happen.
We helped my sister out an abusive relationship recently, 3 months ago. The thing is, he was not physically abusive but verbally. Perhaps abusive is the wrong term, more controlling. He has low self-esteem, and everything that is done that does not relate to him in some way is not acceptable. Controlling as well. It took a while for my sister to see that our mom and I are not shit talking the guy and that we truly have her best interests at heart. She finally moved out, and we insisted that she move away from the area. It worked. We hope every day that she does not find another controlling, abusive partner. But if she does, we will be there for her to support her.
It's good to hear your sister is out of that situation. It sounds pretty tough for her to recognize the control aspect. Moving away is a solid step. Sometimes a change of scenery really helps. Just being there for her is what matters, especially if she's still healing. Hopefully, she'll find a healthier relationship down the line, but it's good she knows she has family support. That's essential.
Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.